Well, thanks for your visits here. Very good. I'm not gonna bring you a lot of slides today. We've had already hundreds of slides. I didn't count them all together, but I think that we are close to that, or maybe even over it. What I would like to take you in the next 15, and I steal another 5 minutes then, as we are ahead on schedule, to take you really through, okay, hands-on mobility, and particularly mobility in the supply chain. Because that's still requiring some additional attention on what type of devices you are putting in, what are the devices, what are the specifics about the devices, including barcode scanning, RFID, and all those type of things. And in order to do that, I would just like to take you through a couple of slides so that you are aware of where we are. I was on, but I'm not on anymore. Switch. Somebody's coming. Okay. Who? Just to have a little bit of an information about that. Who of you is offering mobility solutions to the mobile workforce, which are particularly oriented on logistics type of applications, field workers, those type of things? You in front, at the end. Okay, so those are most probably devices which are. Well, I won't say identical to these ones, but which are similar, like these rugged type of devices. Okay, very good. What are the intentions of other people here in the audience in looking towards those type of integrations? Here and there, yeah. Okay, so let's go a little bit more into those details, and hope that we can swap the screen. When you do dry runs, it's always working. So. Yes, there we are. Okay. So in order to get you a little bit up to speed with that, I would just like to tell you a couple of things, and I'm sure that if you look to these topics which are here on the slide, a lot of familiarity is there. Like if you have to start implementing mobility. Of course, you have to think about different operators. You have to think maybe about multi-site rollouts, a lot of different devices. We've spoken a lot, or other companies have been speaking about integration to back-end systems. What about seasonal peaks? If I'm, for instance, a postal company, I know that Valentine's Day and Christmas time are really the peaks in my delivery activities. What about fallbacks if suddenly things are at the server side starting to mess up a little bit? So it's not just putting a little bit like, or just like a mobile device into place. It's triggering a lot of other things out there. If you take this one step further, there are very specific things which are required if you start to put things into the supply chain, into the mobility of supply chain. Like for instance, indeed, mobile application management. We've heard a lot about that today, but what you see, for instance, at postals or delivery companies or even retail companies is that they want to be very agile and very flexible in adding small extra apps next to their core processes. How do you do that? How do you manage that, and how do you even deliver those new applications very quickly to just a group of operators? It's all nice to know that those devices are now coming with Android as well, but how do you lock them down? How do you make sure that if I'm a retail operator or I'm a logistics guy, I'm not starting to browse the internet the whole day, but that I'm just doing what I need to do? Yeah, what are my assigned tasks? So how do I lock it down? And it sounds so simple, but all those manufacturers, they do have different ways and means in locking down their devices. How do I, for instance, work with new technologies like smart sensors and eye beacons, as you call it? So to understand where is such an operator. He's working from one location to another location and he needs to do new assignments over there. How do you work with that? Yeah, or even other things like biometrics. How are we going to work with biometrics so that an operator can be identified that he's the operator allowed to do the work on a device? So, like I said, multiple device types, seasonal peaks, barcoding, other auto ID technology. So a lot of challenges which you as an organization will have when you start implementing mobility. Yeah? So how do we offer a solution for that? So how do we fix that? Basically, if you look to implementing mobility, you see some core stages in that process. And I'm sure that if you look to your own mobility, you see that as well. And of course, it starts with building. You have to build an application. Either it's done by your solution provider, or a trend we currently see as well is that you start off with something which has been developed by your system provider, and then you take over because you want to stay agile, flexible, and quickly adapting to market needs. So we offer in this MEAP platform an easy development environment to develop cross OS. So it's one-time development which runs on all those different devices. Yeah, whether it's Windows type of devices or whether it's Android. So it's, with other words, it's a develop once, run on many. From there, of course, you need to start deploying those applications and setups and all of that to those mobile devices. So we have a kind of out-of-the-box deployment features and functions to cost-effectively deploy new apps and, let's say, stage and commission devices in the field. On top of that, that's the next step, you have to provide your operators with a device. And what we offer for that are functions and features and components to run that on mobile devices and take advantages of new technologies like cloud computing, where you can start to use the cloud to exchange your information between your mobile workers and your back-end systems. Yeah, reducing, of course, the need for local installations of PCs and servers and all of that. And I'll take you through in a few minutes about the Argos installation we have recently done here in the UK, together with Zetes, where we could reduce in those 600 to 700 shops local communication machines, which at the end were costing them a lot of money to maintain and to keep up and running for those 4 or 5 years of that project. And last, but certainly not least, to manage that complete install base. And I was happy to hear that in some of the slides of the previous presenters that MDM was something which was done, let's say, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, and that you have to think to the next generation of mobility management. And on purpose, I'm not saying the D from device in between anymore, because you not only have to manage anymore your mobile devices, but what about your operators? What about your seasonal workers? What about your peak workers, which you only start to work with for, let's say, 3 weeks or 5 weeks? How do you manage, very pragmatic and very operational, how do you provide them access to that one single little app which is required in the operations of your warehouse or of your POD people or any of those mobile workers? Yeah. So it goes beyond the mobile device management. Next to that, we offer application management, operator management, and certainly as well data management. So there are techniques and new trends which allows you to cut out those expensive middleware type of solutions and directly interface to back-end systems. Just a little bit about the company together with Zetes. Indeed, it's now the 4th generation of software solutions we have out there. If you look indeed the different solutions, in total we have about 350,000 devices globally under control and provided with solutions and with data capture solutions. And last but not least, and I think that's those are the two outer sides. It's predominantly focused on supply chain and everything connected to supply chain, like Argos. Okay, there we are in the store side of the world. But if I take indeed Unilever, they have indeed their mobile workforce equipped in different southern countries to start scanning refrigerators where they sell the ice creams, yeah, and where they capture the data, and with that they start to restock the refrigerators. Of course, online and offline is definitely something which is required over there. Yeah, so those are the things we are covering. Okay, last slide, and then I'll go a little bit more live. What you see here on the slide is a kind of a MEAP setup. Everybody knows what MEAP is. For me, it's common, but Mobile Enterprise Application Platform. Yeah, which is comprised out of, if you look to here, this is a set of services which are running in the cloud. So this is running at the AWS platform, with 3 different locations in Europe to make sure that there is fallback and that there is a 99.95% SLA level on that. But which consists out of a set of services where initially we start off with an enterprise application store. So here you see the difference between generic solutions, which are out there, and the solution which I have here on the slide, which is really for enterprise ruggedized type of setup. So not generic solution, but really focused on those type of things. So you have an application store where the apps developed with your development environment are being stored. And for instance, and that's what you see more and more, that apps are being cut up in different responsibilities, like an app for the retail operator, an app for the logistics operator, and perhaps another app for a warehouse operator. Yeah? From there, they are being deployed with deployment services, mobile device management service, so that you know where your device is, and combined that with operator management services. And I think that is starting to become a key aspect in the next enterprises. Like I already said, you see, for instance, that a postal guy, besides his main parcel delivery task, now, as he's in the street anyway, is going to check whether this abri, where those posters are being displayed, are of good quality. And with that, the postal people can start to charge a little bit extra on the service which that postal guy is doing anyway. So you see that with this, it allows companies as well to think outside the standard type of applications you have currently and start to move that to the next level. Yeah. Data services are there as well, like a Firebox server, which is indeed, like I said, running in the cloud environment. Okay. Let's take that live. So what I've done here right now is to have we have created a setup, an account within that mobility platform, as we call that. So this is a live view of our setup. I zoomed in particularly in this case on a Rotterdam central warehouse. You can create all types of sites and cut your organization into different let's say physical entities. And as you have seen in my previous slide, I had a couple of key services out there. We have represented that in the same way into this platform. So very pragmatic, very easy to handle. Where, for instance, I have an application store. You see different type of apps loaded here into the store with different versions, with version control. This can be both MCL related apps and also non-MCL related apps. So that can be a mix between our, let's say, own developed apps and apps which are already at your organization. Like I said, you have full version control. You know who was the developer, so you really know what is out there. And from there, you start to dispatch that. You start to send that to the mobile devices, basically. And for that, we have the device management setup. And basically, this will give you a very quick overview of your device estate per group, per operator, per different views which you can get out there. And for instance, here I can quickly see that I have a series of ruggedized devices. I've also included, let's say, more consumer type of device and another device. And you quickly see which devices are active and non-active, making sure that if an operator comes to you in the morning and he said, okay, hey, there's something wrong with my device, okay, you quickly pop up this and you see what is out there, what is going on there. Yeah? It also gives you a full history of who has been using such a device. Yeah, if you speak, if I remember the talks we had with Argos as a sample, Indeed, we're speaking about 2,500, 3,000 devices out there. They estimate, now they know exactly, so it was an estimation in the beginning, but they estimated when we started that project that approximately 200 devices were kind of unaware where they are and what the state was of those devices. Can you imagine the cost associated with that? So we make clear and easy and quick overviews about what those devices are, what is the system, what is it running, how many battery levels are there, how is it connected, indeed who was the last operator logging in on that device. So even if you are in 3PL, third-party logistics environments, you can really track down who was using that device at what time and potentially go back and make sure that you can ask the device back from that operator. Yeah, of course you have overviews of where you are and indeed where the device is currently. I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. Maybe that's another number, but that's indoor GPS. Yeah. Next to that, you also are able to manage your operators very easily here. Basically, it will give you the possibility to start giving some profiling towards those operators, where you can simply say, okay, good, this operator is belonging to the retail group. Equally, he can only use certain retail-oriented applications. Or when he belongs to the in-field group, he should, for instance, only be able to use the field service application. Or when he belongs to the manager group, he has access to all the applications. Yeah, that's easy profiling, which you can do over there. Last but not least, there is a data service onto that setup, and that's what I mentioned as well. What Argos could save, to call it like that, which is a data box, and basically your mobile devices. This is typically a picture indeed of a PC. What you see here, but this could be pictures as well of damaged boxes. With other elements in order to make sure that the information which the mobile workers are capturing are, for instance, immediately being sent into a centralized data box, and from there you start to dispatch that information back to your CRM or to your WMS or ERP systems. Yeah. Of course, you get full details on who was taking that image, where it was taken. So for further tracking and tracing, you have all those details available. To complete the circle in the last few minutes, like I said, it's a MEAP, so it's the MCL mobility platform also comes with a development environment in which those applications are being created and developed. It's a really so-called what you see is what you get environment. I'm sure that with an audience which I have over here, is that if we would spend like half an hour to an hour extra, is that I could have you all starting to do my first app. Yeah, a little inventory app or those type of things. Of course, the system can go in a much wider setup. But basically it allows you to develop applications, to validate that, to test that, and to be very agile on bringing your next level of mobility into your enterprises. And if we go back to the slide we have here, indeed, like I said, there's a wide range of customers out there, ranging from installations with like 15, 20, 30 devices, all the way up to the post in Ireland, who is doing their standard postal delivery day in, day out, starting to register indeed the different packages and things they have been deploying. We're speaking there about approximately 6,000 to 7,000 devices which are running applications on top of the mobility platform and starting to manage those devices out there. Yeah?